Hello, my name is Kimberly, and this is my channel, The Amazing Kimmeth. Today, we're going over the book Suffering by D.J. Edwards. If you would like to purchase this book, it is available in the link in the description below, so please check it out. This is a grimdark fantasy. It is the first in a Chronicles, the Iria Chronicles. I'm sorry, I'm going to pronounce all of these names incorrectly. Forgive me. This starts off with a boy, Appius Malleolus. He goes by Mal. He's 16. He lives in a tower in a castle at the center of a city with his father. They live in Agarir. Again, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing all these incorrectly. It's established pretty early on that this son and his father, they're outcasts. The father is ashamed of his son Mal. The father gets this book, the Book of Litheasus. Anyway, one day Mal's father drags his son to go see King Norbanus. The father, whose name is Lucius, was the historian for the king. He was removed, and we kind of find out why. The king's a bit of a racist, and he's a racist towards elves and some other creatures. Mal's father wants to present the king with this book that he found. The court believes that the book Mal's father has found is a forgery. And various bodyguards show up and they remove Mal and his father, and it looks really terrible. However, the court does confiscate this book from the father and they put it in the royal library. The father ends up disgraced even more, and he buys 2 horses and he takes the son to the boggy lowlands of Annika. And then we find out that the boy Mal gets sold to a bar owner. Mal is then treated poorly because he's now a servant. He's befriended by a little girl named Kalilia. Again, I can't pronounce anything. We then fast forward 5 months. Mal is dealing with the typical abuse that doesn't make sense when it comes to servitude and just having to be subservient to folks. Mal is framed for stealing one night by another servant, and a man-goat monster chimera thing jumps through the window into the bar. Then other chimera monsters barge into the bar. There is a fox woman, a dog snake thing, and then these hooded archers barge into the bar as well. These archers, they kind of save the day. The town is then set ablaze by the chimeras, and in the morning, the hooded archers are actually elf twins. They decide to go to Albius. Can't pronounce anything. The elves take Mal and they decide to go to this other town, but everything that they find is in ruins. They come across this strange pit where these other strange chimeras come out of this pit. There is a creature that is there, a being that is there that can read Mal's mind, and it's very disturbing. The elves and Mal, they run into a new town, Albius. There are no beasts there yet, but everyone knows that the beasts are trying to get into this city. We then find out that there's an elf in Mal's hometown who is a spy, and he's not just a spy, but it's in the king's court. We find out that the Book of Litheasus that Mal's father was shamed for having a possible forgery of, it's in this town that Mal has gotten himself into. In Albius, there's lots of characters that come back up. People are trying to kill each other. Mal escapes with Kalila into the water, but then Mal gets caught and then he's thrown into jail. The officers and guardsmen, the militia of this town, they're preparing for these beasts, these monster things, these chimeras that are trying to attack the city. These officers are preparing for that, so they let Mal out and they're like, anybody that can wield a sword or a spear that can help, we need them, let's go. Mal tries to train with a sword and he's absolutely terrible with it. I do enjoy how this was shown in the book because he's just kind of a weak 16-year-old. He's a kid that's never held a sword in his life, so he's not going to be good at it. It's going to take time to learn, and I really did enjoy that this was shown in the story. The beasts show up, there's a gigantic battle, the Mal gets separated from the elves, there's enemies at court that run into Mal and he's trying to deal with all of these things. It's coming all together, so much chaos, so much destruction. It's all happening all at once. At one point, the city is set ablaze and Mal finds himself in the room with this forbidden book, this apparently forged book that started it all, that began his life of suffering. After the attack is over, the city is in ruin. People are trying to pick up dead bodies, they're trying to find their loved ones, they're trying to make sure that all these beasts, these chimera things, are destroyed so that they can try to pick up the pieces and try to put out fires and try to help the wounded. The elf twins, the hooded archers that we were introduced to in the very beginning that have been speckled throughout this whole story, they find the spy, they find the traitor elf, and they deal with that. This book does have kind of a cheesy, evil villain, brooding and watching from afar ending, but I loved it. I thought it was really good, and it sets the stage for the sequel to this. I really did enjoy this book. It showed very well what a teenager never dealing with any sort of fighting, any sort of training would deal with, how he would react when thrown into these situations. And I'm reminded throughout the story that he's just a kid. He's just a 16-year-old. He doesn't have any training. He doesn't have formal training. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a history nerd, and he's thrown into one terrible situation after another, and he's just trying to survive in this terrible world. I did enjoy this book. It was a good fantasy adventure book. It was dark, it was gritty, it was gory. It hit everything that I wanted when it came to that. And like I've mentioned a couple times already, that the character Mal, he isn't the chosen one. He isn't best, he isn't the greatest, he has to learn, he doesn't know much, he's just a history nerd, he just wants to read, he doesn't know how to wield a sword, he's not very strong, he's just a 16-year-old that gets the terrible end of the stick one time after another. I did enjoy this book. I did enjoy the gritty, grim, dark fantasy. It is gory, it is violent, it has all of those things that I want in some sort of terrible adventure story. There is a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel in this book, but it's not very bright. And I did enjoy that. I liked the reality that there's not necessarily a happy ending. There aren't really good guys and bad guys. It's just not as bad of a guy, and a guy that has some good to him. Have you read this book? What did you think about it? And what should I read next?